Hello beautiful people, I'm Daybebaby and welcome to my channel where I gossip about books. If this is your first time here, welcome. If not, welcome back. So the latest book is actually a memoir from one of TV's greatest actresses. In the book, she notes that at one point in her life, she was considered Black famous, but she has now made a name for herself to the point she's not only Black famous, I feel like other people know who she is. She's played supporting roles like B in Ray, to getting her own pivotal role as being #1 on the call sheet in Scandal. I am talking about Kerry Washington's Thicker Than Water. First off, I can definitely feel the difference in this book compared to all the other books I read simply because it is a more memoir. And I feel like it's just a different way of storytelling. So one of the huge selling points on this book was obviously, I don't know if you guys were around, if you guys were like in social media or like really watching when she was doing her tour for this book. It was the tea on her and her dad. And if you don't know, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. Please understand this is like one of the hugest things about this book. Kerry Washington's father is not her biological father. And she does not learn that until very much later in life. That in itself got me interested, and it's like, I'm sorry, like I love a little tea. So that really got me. But that's not the reason I stayed for the book. I was also super interested in reading the book because I genuinely do like Kerry Washington as an actress. I've loved her in her role, obviously, as Olivia Pope. I've loved her as, I believe her name was Mia in, was it Mia or Pearl? Pearl was her daughter. I think her name was Mia in Little Fires Everywhere. Very short series, but too good. Too good. And she mentions that in this book, and it's like, y'all, if you know, you know. I've loved her in, I think it was Little Man's, like just playing all these little characters throughout my life. I'm like, oh my God, I really have seen Kerry Washington, and I can see how somehow she became Black famous in like the community, but she is so much more than Black famous. But another thing that like tied me into reading this book is because I feel like we don't know much about Kerry Washington. She isn't the kind of actress that's in the media for drama a lot, which I can appreciate. So it gives this like mystery to her, and not in the sense like you're like, I want to know your business, but it's like, we really don't know about you, so go ahead and tell us your story. She tends to be under the radar, so I figured this was a good opportunity to get more insight on her, get more of an understanding of her from her own mouth. So throughout the book, she describes things in such a lush and expressive way, and I feel like that's probably true to her core, her personality. And I say that because she has this podcast on YouTube, I believe it's the podcast, called The Street You Grew Up On. If you guys have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. It's actually a very interesting podcast. Throughout the podcast and in this book, she's very expressive in how she conveys her life, and then within the podcast, how she compares other people's lives and just helping them express their story of how they grew up. And because of the way she expresses and how she describes things, it makes you appreciate not only the podcast, but the book itself as well. One thing she talks about in the book is obviously her pathway to her becoming an actress. And what I find so interesting about this is that she describes her becoming an actress like as if it was always intended for her to be an actress. Like from get-go, this was what she was going to do. As if almost, it wasn't even that she chose it, but acting was chosen for her, if that makes sense. You can tell that she just, like, she thinks of it as her calling, but in a sense, it goes past that. There's so many factors of her life that just shows you that she was meant to be an actress. Not only was she intended to be an actress, but somehow acting was linked to every part of her life somehow. Like, she talks about her youth where she felt like she was constantly pretending and just like having to play a role. And it's like, girl, you're already an actress at that point. But she then talks about how acting led to activism, and I'm just like, okay, where are we going with this? And how it started from a young age. She was already being an activist, and I'm like, what do you mean being an activist at a young age? She describes how she would see herself in different roles as an educator and an activist that she didn't even knew related to her life. When it comes to actors and actresses, I feel like we don't really know much of the process that comes into being a renowned actor or actress, like the work that goes into, like, I know we constantly hear about people doing like method acting and like the process of trying to get into a role, but it was very interesting to see how all of her life built up to the, I don't even want to say a single moment, but to her career, to her as a person, into being Kerry Washington, not only the actress, but the activist, the mother, the daughter, all of this encompassing in one person. Side note, I'm sorry if I sound nasal, y'all. I feel like I may be getting a cold, but we move on. Reading this book has allowed me to get more of an appreciation for her craft. Like, you hear a lot of the times with these celebrities and these actresses, it's like that. Nowadays, there's no such thing as an overnight success. And I feel like Kerry Washington is like the perfect example of that. Like, this girl has been acting since, I think she was in middle school or high school. And it's like, she didn't go to like a LaGuardia or anything. I think that's what that school is called. But it's like just this leads to this and this to this and this to this. And it's like there's so much to build upon. Or like she even talks about like going to, I think she said Asia. Where was it? I can't remember what specific country she went to. Maybe it was India. I can't remember. But she talks about just like spending, I think, 2 years, I believe, in India, just perfecting her craft, like learning a new form of theater. And I'm like, I would have never thought that's something you needed to do. But it's like, you know what? I'm not an actress. I don't know what goes into being an actress. But then again, she plays each role amazingly. So it's like, who am I to say that wasn't necessary? She talks about her childhood and her relationship with her parents and her being an only child and all these things that she didn't put much thought into, but she realized something wasn't right. She constantly brings up the point where she feels like there is something between her and her parents. She just doesn't know what it is. She feels like her parents are never truly themselves with her, and because of that, she can never truly be herself with them. And because of this, it's constantly holding their relationship back. For years, their relationship is being held back by something. She can't put her finger on it. She doesn't know what it is, but she feels something. And like I said, because her parents are pretending with her, she is pretending with them. Which I feel like it's like, okay, if that's the start of your story of you becoming an actress, you lying to mama and daddy, you gotta be fake around them. Hey, do what you gotta do. I'm not mad at it because look at what we got. I don't want to say too much on this book because I feel like it truly is the kind of book that you do need to read to appreciate. I can't tell you tidbits for you to understand like it holistically, but there are definitely several tidbits that had me sipping my tea like, oh my God, Kerry Marissa Washington. Girl. Because like I said, we don't know much about Kerry Washington. Like even in the book, she talks about how private her getting engaged and getting married was, and like how quiet under the hush her pregnancy was and things like that. And I'm like, when I think about I never knew, like I did not even know for the longest time that Kerry Washington was married because I've just never thought to think of her personal life like that. She talks about, I think she talks about her wedding being super secret. Like even some cast of Scandal didn't know. Her dress designer knew, but his employees, those people working on the dress, they had no idea that Kerry was getting married. I'm like, that's the kind of secrecy you gotta keep. Like nowadays, you know what this reminds me of? But doesn't remind me of? Like, I feel like celebrities is hard. I don't want to say it's hard for them to keep secrets. You can keep a secret if you want to, but somebody may slip up. The NDA's gotta be tight. Like on some Kylie Jenner, let me not say Halle Bailey because we knew, but she didn't confirm. But like on some Kylie Jenner pregnancy type stuff, you know? You can tell that she values her privacy, but I feel like with this book, she does give us like a little bit of an entryway to get an idea of who she is as a person. You can tell like she really values being a family person, like a mother, a daughter, a wife, a friend. For instance, there's this part in the book where she says she believes that, I think after reading a book, that parents do not choose their children necessarily, but children choose their parents. And so because of that, she's thankful that her children choose her. And I thought that was very touching because I really don't know anything about her and her kids. I don't know much about her. Like she's really quiet in the media and I like that for her. And I think that's a very interesting thought process to have given the dynamic of her family because inherently she chose her father. Although her father is not her biological father, that is her chosen father and that will always be her dad. I would definitely recommend this as a personal read rather than a group read because I feel like it's more of a slow-paced book. I read it in about a week, but it's more of a slow-paced book. And if you're the kind of person who likes to just pick up from other people's experiences and hear about other people's life experiences, I think this is the perfect read. There's something interesting about learning about a person's life through their own goggles, their own eyes. and seeing how their experiences shape them. We can go through similar things, but that doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to end up the same. Or even if we do end up the same, we do not view things the same. Like I said, it took me about a week to read. I wish I was the kind of person who could read more than one book at a time. I wish I was a faster reader, but I do appreciate that I was able to simply digest this book. Maybe in the future, I'll be a little bit of a faster reader. I'll be able to handle more than one book at a time. Hey, maybe even I'll start investing in some audiobooks. I don't know. But for now, pace yourself. And this isn't the big fact, but it's like in the beginning of the book, she dedicates the book starting with to my personal heroes, Chitlin Man and Hot Sauce. Those are her parents. And I thought that was so cute when you read the book and you finally realize it's like, oh, that's so sweet. That is so sweet. She also dedicates it to Pump Snacks and Man Man and to Babe. I'm assuming Babe is her husband. I don't know, but I don't know who the other people are. Maybe those are her kids. I don't know. But anyways, I encourage you guys to give this book a read. Give it a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!